So, Xilonen makes Nevi, utterly insane, to say the least. This is something we talked about when Arlecchino and Nevi were still top of the game, and then Xilonen got released. It just made their monotype team stronger. Now, we don't even need it to be a monotype team. We legitimately can just have it be whatever we want. Legitimately, it doesn't have to be monotype anymore. It can just be this team, and it's utterly insane. I mean, you're seeing my Mavuika. She had 120,000, 90,000. It's insane. And especially when you combine it with the fact that Xilonen adds Mavuika to the team, because without Xilonen, who's your Night Soul generator? Who's going to be the character that gives you Night Soul? Kachina? Yeah, no. You can basically just look at this and be like, wow, that's really good. Now, we can add a little bit of extra spice to it and increase Nevi's damage, personally, a little bit more than what we've been doing, because we can use Kazuha. And this was before Mavuika. So this was the team that we would use. And this is sort of the team that we would use with Arlecchino, it's just except in Fiorina, then you would put, Bennett. And that would be a pretty good team for both of these characters. And it's just like, these characters are just so busted, and you just made them more busted with Xilonen adding more damage bonus. And it was really like a very weird thing to see, because at the time we didn't know that Mavuika was going to be by far and away the best character, DPS character in the game. Like, we didn't expect that. So we could see him hitting 85,000 here, yeah, and then a little bit off on the burst, but we should, we're seeing 94,000 there and then 80,000, because I'm assuming we lost a stack of his passive, right? So honestly, it really isn't, like, it really is pretty crazy, honestly. And we can talk about how she's a healer, and we can go ahead and do a run where we have her healing the entire time, and it just is going to keep going and going and going. And yeah, that's the correct way to play Nevi. I understand. It's just I always forget to play him like that. And I'm pretty sure you're supposed to split Shilonen's kick between, the kicks that you do. And yeah, let's go ahead, E-skill there. And boom, 89,000 we start off with, 90,000. Then we go ahead and we can do this, and we can do this, and we can, hit 80,000 and then 50,000. And yeah, we lose a lot of damage just because I'm not very fluent in the Nevi playing style. If I'm being entirely honest, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like the most fluent guy. I realistically should have started with his burst when I switched into him rather than all of that. I don't know, but yeah, it really does allow for us to do a lot of damage, and it is the reason why Nevi and Arlecchino can kind of keep up. Now, Arlecchino is a little bit different because she has Seatlali, right? And Seatlali massively increased her damage. And I'll talk about that once we get to the Xilonen plus Seatlali. And then, yeah, let's talk about, I have C2 Xilonen, 45% HP. It's something that you can talk about with Xilonen because she is legitimately a one of two characters that buff HP. Like, legit, one of two. Yelan C4 is the other one. Other than Yelan C4, I do not know of a single character that actually buffs HP. I don't. I really do not. We do not have proper HP buffers, and I don't think we're gonna, anytime soon, we're gonna get one. Because they want Mavuika to stay at number 1. I don't think Miss Coffee is going to be an HP buffer. I think she's probably just going to be sort of a weird cryo off-field damage dealer from what it sounds like and what it seems like with the Abyss buffs and all the stuff that's aligning. And so this is what makes Nevi still like the number 2 DPS in the game, and why I can't say like Arlecchino is, on that level, because one, Arlecchino using overlapping a lot with Mavuika if you want to run both of their best teams, and 2, Nevi has insane AoE. We've been going up against like one enemy, right, with the Capybara. If we go ahead, I think floor 11, let me see how far it is into floor 11 before we actually get to the 60 enemies. I don't know. So here we are with this. So we could just start off with this. We're going to be able to easily, boom, boom. And it's important to note, with this massive change for AoE, all of these guys' reses are decreased. Yeah, we can definitely see, like, this is sort of what we're talking about. Every single one of these guys' res decreased. All of them. That is the beauty of, Xilonen. That is what she's there for, I feel like. That is where Xilonen shines way further above someone like Kazuha, who can only res shred, the enemies that he hits, right, and the enemies that he swirls on. Whereas, even Deepwood, it's another set, once you go ahead and you have res shred that follows you rather than following the enemy, because as you can see, this is what this artifact is basically saying is enemies hit by your elemental burst or elemental skill, their Dendro res gets decreased by 30% for 8 seconds, right? That's cool and all, but you have to hit them. So characters like Xilonen can't really use this as effectively as you would hope, because, you know, if Xilonen was able to use this, then she'd be able to res shred Dendro on top of all the other, you know, elements that she can res shred. And having it so it's following the enemy and attached to the enemy really hurts. Whereas Xilonen, she doesn't have that. She doesn't. This character, what she does, it's perfect for Nevi, right? Nevi wants to be an AoE. He wants to go against 700 waves of enemies. You know what Kazuha's not doing? He's not res shredding beyond the point you kill those enemies. Those first like 5 enemies that we just did. There were 20 more, and Kazuha wouldn't have res shredded on him. However, Xilonen did. Honestly, you know, because it's floor 11, they might have died before we got too close to res shred, but the point still stands that we had the res shred when we would have been able to use it. Like, we would have been able to just go towards the enemies and got the res shred. I haven't really noticed like her being out of range. I don't know how big her range is, but I can certainly understand that we might not have been res shredding every single enemy we saw right there in that floor 11. You know, it's something that I feel like it's underrated with Xilonen, especially when you pair her with a character like Nevi. It's like, this guy wants to be used in AoE content. He is so good in AoE. You know, her not having the like res shred attached to the enemy helps out so much. It, like, genuinely, these two characters work great together. The only character that has better synergy with Nevi is Furina, and the reason for that being is because she generates Hydro Particles. If it wasn't for that, I actually think I might consider saying that, you know, Xilonen has better synergy with Nevi, because, you know, Nevi, he can get damage bonus from other sources. I mean, these two alone are giving you 80% damage bonus, and if you put on Xilonen's weapon, that's 105% damage bonus, possibly 110% if you can get up to all 1000 EM that Kazuha may be able to hold. So you generally start stacking up a lot of damage bonus, and what that does is, like, devalue what Furina's doing. And the res shred, if you're not using another res shredder, let's say you had Mavwika here again, because that is the better option, since she's doing 700k damage through a Q. Xilonen's res shred, comparatively to Kazuha, it's so much more. It's so strong. You get 65% damage bonus and 30% res shred. In terms of a support ability, that really isn't what, you know, Furina's doing. And then obviously Furina's doing off-field damage, but I don't think that's necessarily synergetic with Nevi. I feel like, you know, Nevi, when it comes to the HP draining and stuff, I would, you know, say that's more, you know, Nevi being synergetic with Furina, not the other way around, because that is, you know, that's a part of Furina's kit. It's not necessarily a part of Nevi's kit that you want to, like, you know, lose all your HP and stuff. You know, you don't necessarily want to. There is a little bit in here, like HP increases and decreases, but he's doing that on his own, so it's not really, you know, that's not like Furina draining his HP or draining allies' HP is going to do anything, right? So I feel like Xilonen genuinely, like, he helped out Nevi quite a bit, and, you know, once again, Mavwika is now on the team, right? And Mavwika offered 700,000 damage at the start, meaning even if she does 300,000 damage off field, and that is C2 Mavwika. You know, it's been a bit since I've used C0. I think it was 500,000 at C0, but still, that's 500,000 at C0. Even if she does 500,000 off field, which isn't hard for her to do because she's vaping on every single hit, really, I'm like, man, this is pretty good. This is pretty nice. So even that has better synergy with, you know, Xilonen, because Xilonen's, you know, losing the Night Soul. She's doing all this stuff. She is one of the only characters that can help Nevi lose Night Soul, sort of, for Mavwika, right? She is one of the only. The other one would be Kachina, and then maybe Auroran. But generally, those guys aren't really going to do much. If I'm being entirely honest, you know, you're going to want Xilonen, who's giving you the res shred and all that, because there is a certain level of, I've not used, you know, Kachina and Auroran to take this place, but it's like, is it worth adding Mavwika at that point? Like, is it worth adding Mavwika at that point? You generally have to ask yourself that, because it's like, you're sat there like, interesting. I don't know. So yeah, overall, I gotta just say, Xilonen, absolutely amazing matchup with Nevi. Turns him into a god, you know, rather than a dragon, I guess. Or maybe he is a god. I don't know. I feel like the Fontaine story, I kind of understand most of it. Like, I understand, you know, like, I get it. But is he a dragon or a god, or is he both? Like, what are we talking about here? So yeah, I think that's generally all I have to talk about with Nevi and all the Xilonen, like, synergy. It's just a great combo. And, you know, I like it. So yeah, Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.